Hear me? Change my setup so the camera didn't come up till now. Little bummer, but yeah, super impromptu. Won't stream for too long. Wanted to kind of come on and I don't know, fairly laid back. Um, you know, gonna be doing some R&D, I guess, for the Burn project and what kind of art we can do there. So yeah, it's super laid back, and you guys are, just tuning in, just kind of enjoy this very laid back stream. Um, there's really nothing much to it today. I guess before we do that, because if you guys want a little alpha, we have actually finished all 64 of the Publico first, I guess, batch of artworks. Uh, yeah, so I'm actually pretty excited about these. Ooh, that is a little distracting. Let me change the music. Hopefully that's a little more sane, the music. Yeah, we finished all the 24, and I'm actually pretty happy with some of these. I don't know why we don't see synthesized. I thought there was something here. Some pretty good ones, I think. But yeah, like I just kind of had some fun yesterday night. Build um, these NFTs, new ones, and I think we have a full set. I'm pretty happy about it. Um, yeah, I mean, does any of these catch you guys' eye? Let's see. I guess it's almost depend. I guess for the workday, it's almost good night. Could tweet this maybe. Yeah, let's maybe live tweet this right now. Why the heck not? Good night. Why don't we toss in the stream as well? Stream link. Yeah, so. Alright, let's get this out. Hopefully some people will see it, stop by. Oh lord. Christie's. Timo, you can DM me. It's, a little unfortunate, but we'll help you. We'll get you sorted out with like a free London gift on from the studio. Hey Chris, not too bad. Just kind of a slower Friday. Pop the seltzer. Yeah, just gonna kind of unwind a bit slash kind of do work but not do work. It's just is very impromptu, but we actually finished all the sets, so um, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with these. Yeah, so Timo, if you tweet and when DMs on Twitter, hopefully we'll get that sorted for you. And I'm sorry about that. Uh, we obviously did, there was no malicious intent with that. It's just a very honest mistake. engineering mistake, and yeah, we have a lot of measures to not do that anymore. Um, yeah, so hopefully, Chris, you like some of these. Some of them are alright. Some of them are cool. Um, there's not much to these all. Will Publico release today? Mm, we can try to rush the job out, and I mean, we're not done with the front end part, but I mean, is it a lot of work? No, to do it. We can literally actually, in fact, deploy it to mainnet right now. But obviously that doesn't mean it's actually released. It's just deployed. Um, we can kind of get some of that done and get it over with. Let's first check the gas price before we do that. See if it's a good time. 100. That's a little oofy. It's a little rough on the gas price. Yeah. So, I mean, for Burn project, we are actually going to try to do fully on-chain artworks. I've kind of we were looking at specifically London Uniswap V3 and their NFTs. Those NFTs are actually fully on chain, so we're kind of like doing the research right now to figure out how to do that ourselves and create SVG, fully on chain. Excuse me, generative art. So that's kind of what maybe spend most of my time today just on stream figuring out is how are we going to do this metadata, and more importantly is how do we generate SVG images on chain. That and finding the inspiration of what we can do within the constraints of on chain, EVM art. But yeah, so I did some research and I just kind of wanted to see what's the limitations of SVGs and what can you do with SVGs. So I kind of found this really cool demo. We could do a live launch. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to doing a live launch. um, there's a few more moving steps, I think. Before we go full live, we may deploy the Rinkeby. In fact, we can do that after just playing around with this. But yeah, let me see what we can see. Yeah, so I saw this website and it has this really nice kind of noisy line effect. Not certain if you guys see this. Any new info on if 100k London? So there's about 100 of you guys do have London, 100k London as far as the last checked. So what we're gonna be doing is going through. This is something we're still figuring out. May spend the first few hours say, hey, if you this is a block of time where if you happen to own a full tile set, DM us and you're gonna get guaranteed a NFT, and then after another 4 hours or 6 hours, we're gonna say, okay, unique guys, you can start DMing us, and then we'll kind of because 100k kind of is our catch-all of because there's 110 of you guys, and we think there's about 10 to 20 gift full sets holders. So once we get through those, we're just gonna kind of unlock it to the 100k. I think that's our kind of like catch-all case there. So you guys definitely are on the little lower of the priority as we want to give it to the folks that spent the time and effort to do a full set collection. But we'll probably have to handle that via just first come first serve basis. We don't want to over engineer this and create like a whole gas price mitigation process. We just created something for fun with Publico, and we want to kind of keep it lighthearted. So hopefully that answers. Let me tilt my camera a little downwards. So if I can, I don't know if I can. Yeah, what we're gonna do Twitter, Discord DMs. I frankly we haven't really figured any of this out for Publico. We had we have so much I guess our table's so full with so many tasks right now. We've been relatively just kind of jumping between different projects battles, if you will. Um, but yeah, let's actually see if we can do today. See in the protocol we have the right. No, we do not. So I'm gonna actually pull this off stream so I can add in all the right environment variables and you guys don't see this. So do not want to reveal our secrets. Let me. Let's see. I'm gonna put this up. Try to drag you in. All right, I have added the environment variables. Good to hear, Chris. Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of the expectation I hope folks will kind of grow upon with Publico. Is it truly is something that we're cutting a lot of corners to communicate, to deliver. It's very conceptual work, right? I mean, you go to the Publico website, like a lot of these are going to be really wacky. And yeah, so some of these are just, yeah, they're just going to be proper whack, and we want to focus on the concept versus just, how do we make it fair or profitable distribution. That's why we're keeping the supplies are so low. It's just we want ideas to be communicated over anything else. Um, yeah, I hope I answered a little bit of the question there at hand. But yeah, so how about let's deploy to Rinkeby today. Um, and then once we deploy to Rinkeby, I believe we can. Uh, well, I'm thinking about what we can do. Um, we do need a script to host the very first version of the metadata. So that's actually something to be mindful. I gotta work on. Oh, my computer froze. Yeah, let's deploy to main. Let's get the NFT done, or not done, but deployed today and on Rinkeby, and then if you guys want a Rinkeby version of Publico, I'll send it over. You just toss your addresses in the chat, and then um, that'd be fun. So let's go to this deploy. This is just like a default deploy script we have. One hard hack optic. Okay. So we are trying to deploy openpiano.sol. So let's get this out. Okay. Piano. Yeah, Rinkeby address because we're going to just deploy to Rinkeby so we can build it today. And then at a later point, we're gonna do the more proper channels. Open piano. So that's the instance. we need to set the metadata URIs correctly, but we don't have that information just yet. We don't need to do interface checks because that is a little excessive. Okay, so well, that's literally how you would deploy it. Let's see if there's anything. So we just need to set the metadata, base metadata, and then where's the contract URI set? Huh. We don't have a set contract URI function, so let's add that too. That seems a little important. What London. Okay, set. Okay, so new contract URI, I'm gonna reword this. Should we just you know what? No. We're gonna do it. We're gonna add it during contract deployment. Because we do not want it to, we don't want any person to have a specific administration powers over this contract. So we don't want to have only owner. That's dangerous. Okay, so let's just do it during contract deployment. We set the contract URI and that's set in forever, and we don't ever bother to change that. Okay, so that does mean we do need to go into scripts. And we're gonna have to start uploading a few things onto IPFS. Okay, so now I'm gonna start copying some code from the London repository, the London project. Where are you, London? Did it close London? Dang. Okay. App. Nope. I want to be an app. Protocol scripts. Science scripts of sketches. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pull this off screen, so just in case I reveal anything sensitive. Okay. New file, .env. Pull this off screen as well. So we can add in an environment variable. So we can do some IPFS uploading today. How long did it take? Long story short, I've worked in crypto, like in DeFi for a while, since 2018. I deployed my first 721 contract back in 2018. But you know, I wouldn't say what I do for a living or when I was in DeFi was you know, writing smart contracts. I was a full stack slash front end engineer, building dApps for a living, and that's what I was paid to do. But that, you know, because I have to build apps, I'm very acclimated to reading and talking to protocol folks and reading their work, because, you know, we have to interact with these protocols all the time, and you know, it requires a certain kind of, you know, expertise that you eventually kind of build up through just years of doing it. then eventually, you know, Proof of Beauty Studios was formed, and that meant, you know, uh, I got to write a lot of smart contracts every day. Um, and that's what I do. I write a lot of smart contracts. I wouldn't say I'm a great protocol writer, but I do have an understanding of what to look out for when it comes to writing contracts. Like just knowing my peers and the folks that, you know, I look up to as writers. I think there's a lot more greater. There's a lot I can count quite easily the number of folks that are much more capable than me when it comes to being uh, a um, a smart contract writer. So hopefully I answered your question there, Chris. I'm adding some packages so we can do this. But I am I guess, a engineer and like artist at heart. I like engineering stuff, but I also like to engineer artistic things, cultural things. That's the right way to say it. It just gives me a lot of pleasure to, you know, use code to distribute interesting ideas to the wild. Um, yeah, so that's, you know, that's, I guess I do feel very fortunate. I'm like quite literally living the dream right now, building, you know, engineering cool art installations. All right, so let's add a script here. Build metadata. Let's do that. Just gonna copy and paste this there to here. Source, we don't have a file yet, but let's build one. Build metadata. TS. So I'm right now gonna be building a script that I can run that uploads things to IPFS, gives me the IPFS hash, and then I can put that into the contract and effectively have a NFT at the ready. So let's do that. A bit of both. But I mean, I was employed like a formally employed full time at a startup at ZeroX Protocol for 2 years, and I was paid with, you know, paper dollars. So definitely was paid in this the old-fashioned way, you know, paychecks and everything. Not that I like, not that I was, you know, extremely happy to do that, but you know, gotta keep the gotta keep a roof above my head somehow. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I guess I'm young enough where, um, you know, I can kind of take some risks when it comes to how I get compensated and how I get to make money. So working in crypto has been a nice kind of alignment there where it just, you know, somebody was like, hey, I got this random silver token that I made. Do you want to be paid in that? I was like, you know, sure. You know, I've been paid in NFTs. I've been paid in so many random ways, and you know, I don't really sometimes do it for the money. It's just, you know, fun work experience. And now, as like my dad or my parents would suggest to me, it's like David, it's like, you know, you've been doing this long enough where like, you know, you're now, you know, your income stream is in an asset that you want to hold for long term. That's, you can't say that a lot about a lot of folks around the world. So it's kind of, it is quite a privilege to hold to get an asset where it's like the moment you get the asset, it's already invested um in a way that, you know, you're very bullish. So, you know, it's really hard to complain about my current strength and stance. But I'm not gonna go too much into it. Yeah. So let's get this contract metadata built. So I am just literally taking this right out of London's code. So that is all we need. I don't think we need asset directory here. Oh no, we do need assets directory. All right, so all right, we need to build. We need to get an icon for piano. We need to make a icon. So building contract URI. That's a script. So we call it what should we call it? Just open piano. POB. Is that what we want to call it? Well, what would its description be? Piano. And then fee recipient. We're just gonna throw no address in here for now. But this will have a fee on secondary markets for the mainnet version. Not that we need the money, but the money will be routed into a future Publico project, and I'm very excited about that future Publico project and how we're gonna play around with treasure hunting. So I'm gonna need a null address. Darn. Null address. Okay. Null address. Open piano. We need a description. I'll throw something in basic for now. Let's have an opinion, let me know, and we can get this changed to something a little bit better. Okay, now let me create a folder called assets. Happy to hear that. Thank you for your words, Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's always been a joy to build in here, and don't regret it ever. Okay, let's. Oh, we need an icon. We need an icon. This is a part where I would employ somebody else to help out a little bit on iconography. Just do something very basic. That's our icon, guys. Man, that's so generic. Kind of fine with that though. Maybe just a Friday mood. You know what? Screw it. That's gonna be an icon until we. Then I'm gonna let. Then I'm gonna let Ash kind of yell at me, tell me that we need a better icon. Assets. Let's do PNG. Actually, give it the right name. Okay, now we should have the asset here. Let's go. Alright, so let's actually try to run the script now, see what happens. See if we get this IPFS metadata. Let's see. Why build? Alright, let's go build. Hopefully this works. Oh, sweet. That did work, I think. So this is IPFS hash. Let's go check. Is this Chrome or Brave? No, it is Chrome. Brave. IPFS dash hash. Sweet. OpenPiano is on IPFS now. That was easy. Stellar bips. Let's double check if the image is on there as well. Sweet, the image is also on IPFS. So now we have just created the metadata for contracts. I'm fairly religious with VS Code. I used to use Atom. VS Code has all the tools. It's really hard to complain about the developer community kind of tools that people have created. It's honestly pretty insane. What you can do and more. I'll be surprised if you're gonna find something that this IDE can't do. And it looks generally clean. I love the terminal on the bottom. I can open like 2-3 terminals side by side, and I do that quite often just to have one running the server, having run the deploy contracts, and one to like test things. It's my go-to, and also I have like Vim bindings, so I use a little bit of Vim shortcuts to do things. So that's why I like VS Code. And we write in TypeScript here. Just clean code, easy to document. You don't have all those really awful issues that is presented in just plain JavaScript. So it's a habit that I was taught my tenure at 0x Protocol. Okay, so contract URI is added. What theme? It's a Monokai Pro. I did this one. This is just my favorite theme. I just have never deviated from this theme ever for years. I want to say there's like a free version that just pretty much works, but bugs you with like a pop-up every once in a while. But I just paid for it. It just saves me a lot of time, and I really like this kind of theme. It's Monokai Pro. A little hard to find. You have to kind of go through their website. Every time I have to install it, it's been a struggle. Yeah, new folder. Let's do NFT metadata. Let's do NFT metadata. And then let's take all of these. Hopefully this works. I don't know if it does. And hit. Wait, what? Why is there only 63 layers? Isn't there 64 things here? Why are we short one? Is my brain like what? Let's see what happens. Look at the export button and see what happens. What just happened? Oh shoot, 0 to 63. Wow, that was easy. 0. Be safe. What's the resolution of this file? It's 1024, not too high. Let's 2x this. 2x or 3x? 3x. Let's do 3x. So let's export all the metadata. Oh, now it's really chunking. It's struggling. My MacBook is struggling now. Hopefully it doesn't check. I'm gonna get back here and let's get to work. Okay, so constant piano supply is Or let's just do this stuff dumb way. 0 I piano supply I. Okay, so we will need to read asset directory, and then let's just do assets directory, and then what did I call this folder? NFT metadata. Replace. Okay, so now we have all this metadata in this folder. We just need to now upload all these images on chain. So, and then we're gonna need token assets. I don't like this name. Image assets directory. Rename this. It's such a horrible name. Image metadata, and then we're gonna need a token metadata directory, and that's gonna be NFT meta. We'll just call it NFT directory, and then we should actually have a folder NFT metadata. Thank you, dude. Well, hopefully, if you stop by and just hear me out, and hopefully you'll see a little bit of what we're doing, learn a little tricks of the trade. What else do we need to do? Blob. Okay, so we need to do image asset directory, and then we need to look for the right file. So the right file is just numbered. So just get the index. And then we just need to store it on chain. CID, image CID is here. And I'm gonna take this out of London. Where's London? Okay. So metadata equals. So this is what metadata would look like. Description, image, attributes. We're not going to do attributes. And then, well, we can do attributes actually. Where do I see the NFT market? 90% of the things that we see today will probably die. Just the natural reality of it. You know, the amount of DeFi projects, during NFT DeFi summer that practically has, died. It's just kind of the nature of the business. Interests. It's really, I think, especially more so in NFTs than anything else. I think it's so much more about the commitment of the core team, and their willingness to see to the day that their project, is part of the NFT canon, is canonical. that just takes a lot of work, you know. And you know, frankly, CryptoPunks, Larva Labs, and how they treat that project, like I think it's very lucky that CryptoPunks is what it is today. Um, it was really well seeded as a project and to take off, but I think the future projects, you can see this with like hash masks already, and like you know, it wasn't a few months ago. Fluff World was a thing, and all these other projects. It's which core team can stick to it and stick to their game the longest, and that is a very, 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 very hard task. Um, it's either just due to personal interests in life, you know, people have things that they're doing. Maybe that's not a full time job. Um, so like it's hard to ask of them to say, hey, 3 years from now, are you gonna still be working as hard as you are today in creating the best community, the best project? Um, and point two to me that's very important is I'm realizing that a lot of these NFT projects are exhausting the growth mechanics, growth functionality that you can do very, very fast. They're either doing breeding, they're already doing airdrops and all these things, and yes, they're capturing the windfalls, but you know, every time you do it, then the next time is weaker than the time before. So, you know, Proof of Beauty Studios, how we look at this is that, you know, Proof of Beauty Studios, both myself and Ash, we know that we want to be doing this for a very long time, preferably through our 20s. And that means we need to position ourselves to be a multi IP studio, not just one that could do a one hit wonder, and we can consistently deliver conceptual works that we're proud of, and make people understand that you know when you like Proof of Beauty's work, I think that means a lot. Um, in the future as we continue to grow that brand, and you know we're trying to position ourselves the best way that we can for a future, uh, you know, where it's a bear market where money is a lot harder to get by, right? Sales are slow. You know, there's multiple blockchains out there that we're operating on. And we're trying to be as open minded to that future, and we are structuring ourselves, our community, towards that expectation where we as a core team in the current model in the current studio design, I can see myself 5 years from now still building NFTs. If I was in the shoes of the Bored Apes or Cool Cats, Cool Kids, like Cool Cats core team, personally, I probably wouldn't be there in 5 years. Just knowing how I will operate and my passions, and so, um, yeah, I structured the studio in a way that hopefully uh, allows me to be there, right? And I think that's very important to me, to be there, to grow with the community, to learn with the community. So that's how we're looking at this. And you know, the crypto space always offers something new and always offers opportunities to pivot. Um, so yeah, hopefully that directly kind of answers your question. Are you gonna type? Oh. Will the London token always be the main and only governance token? No, I can say that much. Hard to say even if it is a governance token. It is a social token that does have governance capabilities. Um, when we create on different chains, we need to. We're gonna be very thoughtful about how do we communicate and translate value already created in the current community into new worlds. Um, and gonna be very honest, is we don't have an answer right now. We genuinely just that we just don't have an answer. Like, it's very hard to say how these future operated blockchains or L2s are um, working. Uh, so yeah, we're gonna keep an open mind. Is the best way to say. Um, because it's just gonna be so much work to realize what the future like to guess what the future looks like, and the current day and age and our understanding is it just Solana probably next year, if not sooner, because of Publico. Um, we really like Solana, and we will be building on different chains. That is ETH does have priority because that's allows us to ship and communicate ideas the fastest. That's where the market is. Um, but when we do Solana, the idea that we do on Solana, you're gonna get the pitch from us. Uh, and you're gonna we really hope that the whatever we do on Solana, you're gonna think about it. You're like, okay, that idea can only exist on Solana. Um, and that's something that we kind of take a little pride in. Um, is building ideas that really are deeply linked to the context it's built on. Um, that's very important to me. I think hash cannot exist on any other blockchain right now because there's just too much history that Ethereum offers, and there's no other blockchain that has that offering. Maybe Bitcoin. Why does London exist on blockchain? Because it's about the hard fork. Like you can't build something. It builds London on Solana to talk about EIP 1559, right? It has to fundamentally exist on that blockchain. Um, Publico is a little bit more open ended. I can see Publico, a future study in Publico be on L2, be on Solana. We don't really bounce Publico in any possible way there. And I find that very endearing and very open ended about Publico, and I'm very excited about what we want to build with Publico. Um, but yeah, so we will be building on Solana. We're still kind of soul searching for what that idea is. Uh, um, so yeah, um, yeah. So, do you think accumulating London long term is worthwhile? Well, I can say what I'm observing and what our intention is as a studio, and I'm gonna let you make a decision. Uh, I own quite a bit of London. The studio owns quite a bit of London as well. We're you know well into the top 100 if not 50 holders of that token. Um, a lot of the core team members are massive London holders. I have been approached by VCs, by other syndicate style DAOs because they have an interest in investing at a long term status into the London token. And consistently I've told them, yeah, like, why do you want to own London? Well, first, it does actually have a really fascinating story to its existence. But point two is it is fundamentally a social token. And I do think that the market has yet to price in a lot of social tokens. Like, we can go on. I think the top few social tokens that people are really observing right now. Not buy. Let's do are like whale. Whale is one of the big ones. Where's whale? Whale at 74 million market cap. $12, right? Friends with benefits, right? Another big one at $120, right? Um, it's clear that there's a that I'm not even saying that we can even hit these kind of numbers, but even if we can hit 7 mil market cap, right? I can imagine. I could just totally imagine that London will react price performance rise, right? Like, if you go to tokenomics, ERC20 contract, there's only about 45 million London, and that's ever going to exist, right? And we have about 3,000 holders. About 2 million of this has already been burnt, so we're really 43 million, right? 43 million, right? And then the DAO has about 13 million, so that 13 million will probably just won't be in circulation. So we're talking about 30 million in circulation, right? And in 30 million, if we look at holders, Uniswap has about 1 million, SushiSwap has about 2.5 million. So you plus or minus some math around, right? There's there's about 25, I would say, million of London in like weaker or unknown hands that can be circulated. And if you compare that to most other tokens and their circulation numbers, just at a pure numbers and psychology standpoint, you can make a fairly bullish case that London can make a lot of psychological breakthroughs. Like, you can imagine when London breaks $1, 10 cents, people will be like, whoa, and that's a huge psychological leap, and that alone is a lot. And we have a token that is well circulated already, that has a very small supply, and has a strong enough liquidity to distribute it to folks. Has a great story, has a DAO related, has a community related. Just at that fun, like just at a fundamentals level for me, I that's why I'm very long term about it. You know, and that's what I'm observing. And with all the inbound interest from very large whales interested in the project, uh, I wouldn't be surprised if these whales who did not participate early are willing to jump in at premiums of what the current price is. Right, so like London is currently at 47 cents. Like, if I'm looking at this chart, it feels like we're like a breakout away from like breaking the 5 cent barrier. But yeah, so just I think there's great fundamentals there. Obviously it has governance capabilities. It's a social token, blah blah blah. Uh, and so then you think, additively speaking, what does London continually will offer? Well, you have a DAO that has that will create future projects that will require London to participate in. I'm currently writing the contracts for the Burn project, and there's a lot of places where you need London token to interact with. So holding London, there's a buy pressure there, right? As a studio, we're obviously going to build ways to reward folks. Where do you get a London chart? You can use CMC, I think, CoinMarketCap. I think there's a good chart there. Well, yeah, obviously take what I'm saying not as financial advice, it's more so observational advice. Um, um, yeah, so, um, yeah, so like you can see, like, this has been our initial sale, right? This is a London gift when it was unlocked, and we can see it spiked to 7 cents, and we've been kind of like, uh, you know, holding the line, if not for a while, and like I believe this is when we did the liquidity ad, so we had to do a little squeeze there on the price, but you can see the rebound has been pretty good. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot more that folks haven't priced in yet. Um, the London Gift also has voting power. It's a governance token as well. So if the London Gift goes up in price, the floor price rises. It should indirectly bring up London as well. Um, as a studio, we're very interested in perpetuating um, its status as the glue of the community. So we're working on a lot of great features on hash side that would allow London token to be used there. Publico, obviously, you can see that we're hoping to reward folks who have London, um, and pretty much keep on implicating its status as the social token within Proof of Beauty. Um, and I really wanted you to kind of like make the point is there's a lot of great things happening right now, um, and hopefully everything that we build in the future is additive to the great observations I'm seeing myself. Um, so yeah, so it's a fair launch project as well. So um, yeah, so Sushi Swap is where most of the liquidity is set. Um, but yeah, like I personally hold a very significant amount of London, and I bought that London. I didn't mint it. I bought it from somebody, OTC'd, and it was my commitment to just not like game my own system. I wanted to uh, uh, reward folks for it, but like also like you guys have to remember that like London was minted at 15 G way, which at the time was $2, about $1.30, I believe, right? So now you would get about 15.59 London, and you're looking at about $78 returns from a $1.50 transaction if you held up to now. Um, so are you a top 20 holder? That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I am. Yeah, I'm top six. um, yeah, I know a lot of these folks have since liquidated a little bit because I remember he was a little higher. Um, but yeah, some of these folks have cashed out off the list. But I remember this is Snail Express, and he sold slash deposited some. He like sent about 1,000 transactions in. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm top six, so I personally have a lot of financial interest as well to participate, and as a project, it's really awesome to see the London project and how it existed, right? Like we went the inverse, right? We didn't like, hey, say like let's create a token and the core team keeps 50% of it and then we'll slowly release it. We did it the other way around. We created a token and we were like, all right, we don't even know how crazy this is. Let's release it. And then we realized it was like, oh shoot, this token is really cool, very powerful. And then a month later, as a studio, we realized like, oh shoot, we need to go buy our own token. If not, how are we gonna get the upside? How are we gonna show skin in the game? So I had to go back in the market and buy the very thing that we created, right? And I think that really speaks to the fair launch status of this project, right? And this is in part we can do this in part because we are a independent studio. We don't have investment outside, right? So that allows us to do a lot of these kind of projects that doesn't have strictly profitable sense. Um, it allows us to build ideas we think of and the ways we want to deliver them. Um, and that gives us a lot of freedom. And I hope that you guys can sort of see that power from us. Uh, you know, truly the kitchen sink is feasible at Proof of Beauty Studios. And we literally, if you have a wacky idea, let let us know, and we'll probably be the most attentive folks. Um, and yeah. Well, we created this project as fair to launch as we could, and um, it's a little hard to get 10% right now. I've the studio itself owns a bit as well. Um, and I can definitely say that the shop, when we sell physical goods, will be denominated in London tokens. And the main reason why we denominate in London is because we want to acquire long term a lot more London tokens ourselves. And we are trying to hit at least a 5% ownership of the London project. But to get there, we're hoping to accumulate via products that we offer, and maybe do a few purchases on Uniswap. But we've been a little hesitant about it, mainly just on the notions that there's a few potential whales that want to make some very big buys into London, and we don't want to, you know, front run them, for lack of a better word. Um, uh, um, yeah. Very bullish on London. I'm personally very bullish on London. There's so much to come, with the project. I'm having so much fun building it. It's definitely a little stressful getting it launched. Like, man, that was, fighting a fire day by day until we can ship it. Like, um, but we made a lot of history with that. And you know, I don't think a lot of folks get to say, um, they've done something as crazy as we have done at Privity Studios. So there's not a lot of regret there, and I've definitely made my share of money in crypto, um, through this bull cycle. Um, yeah, so the shop will be denied in London. Ash is doing a really great job in finding printers, finding people to do hoodies, to do posters with us. They're going to be very, very high quality. Um, um, and yeah, I'm very excited about the shop. Honestly, I'm very excited with the shop. And then we'll finally, hopefully, do the copybook of Ethereum history, but with NFTs inside. I really want to see that happen, and um, yeah, yeah. There's so much stuff to come. Um, but as a studio, or sometimes it's day by day. Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like I've seen you tweet and retweet everything. I think one of the big things for us is just, uh, you know, uh, or like I keep on telling folks internally, it's just like our biggest strategy as a studio, if not anything else, if we're like very dumb about it, is we literally need to outlive every other core team that exists today. If we can outlive them, um, we continue to build a brand. We continue to grow, um, and build on the great work that we've already have. So, um, that's what I consistently told Ash. It's like, dude, like if we can still be fighting 3 years from now, I don't care what we're fighting about, but we are gonna be doing some good stuff. I hope that we are on multiple chains. We have great stuff produced. Um, we have a larger following base or whatever. Um, but yeah, like it's yeah, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to literally be able to say, is like, this was the dream for me, joining crypto 3 years ago, and now I get to live it. And now that I get to live it, I also get to say, is I hope that this is my last job, period, right? Because I hope that this is something I could do uh for a very long time, because I love the creativity that is offered, um by building things in with tokens, with value, with social experimentation involved, with conceptual, more philosophical discussions held through tokens, right? There's this a lot of storytelling. Um, um, but yeah, um, yeah. There's somebody asking, is making quite a point and asking about um. Some one of the parts of operating something in crypto is a lot of folks are have a lot of high stakes involved, and they wanna get in on whatever you're releasing. uh, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect for anonymous teams. It's you work in a space like this, it's kind of the norm. Um, but I chose from the very beginning that I want to build something that I'm proud of and willing to show my face for. Um, and I'm proud of Proof of Beauty. So, uh, it's also a way for me to communicate to folks that we're in it for the long term and we're in it for the long game. We're not here just to build something, leave with no stakes involved, and then try another thing. Um, so I think it was a very conscious decision we made, both Ash and I, on when we started Proof of Beauty. But we respect a lot of the team community members and the folks that do want to stay anonymous. I I don't want to ask them to reveal something they're not comfortable with. Um, so yeah. Um, we the whole debacle with like was it like 3 Russians building like 30 different PFP projects and hoping one sticks. Uh, that was bound to happen, to be honest. Certain people, a lot of folks have lost money. A lot of content was created by the NFT influencers pumping whatever the opera apparatus is. People shit talking about the space. It just, um, you know, I just wanted to cut through that bullshit and then, keep the focus on the work. Um, so this is our decision to keep the focus on the work. um, um, yeah. Hopefully that answers that questions or what's our thought behind that as a studio. Um, you know, we are a very small team. Like, there's not a lot of us. There's 2 of us, and a lot of great community members that helps us via the DAO. Um, and in part, this is because we're independent studio and we don't have instant $10 million to grow and grow a team, but also it's just not towards our interest to do that. We're very much so just interested in deliberate good work. And that very much so means to me that we should be proud of our work. And yeah, so that's why we do what we do. And like, you know, well, that answers your question there. Or not your, I don't think you had a question in there. But yeah, that's the musings on that. We have a lot of wacky ideas that can even hop onto our specs here. We have a lot of random things. But yeah, so this was the original London, and we called it Impasse. Token that was redeemable only if mined at a low gas price. So say 1 GWei, then grows by each block. That was that's what we originally called it. That was the very first notation that breathed into the London project that we see today. This was like written in like February. Um, yeah, so we have a lot of random ideas that we're hoping to do someday, and there's more things that I'm not showing right now, but um, you know, we would like to do like physical art as well, photography based NFTs. There's not just generative. Um, but yeah, there's just yeah, like we're not stopping. We're not stopping. We definitely, you know, we'll have times where we're gonna work a little slower just because life is life, and we gotta stay mentally healthy and physically healthy. Do I have plans? Yes. Um, but I've been very picky with the folks that I'm allowing into the inner sanctum. Um, Mainly because well, for one is it's been a lot of learning on just on our operational bandwidth as a studio, as in, you know, we're still operating a business fundamentally, right? And you know, it's like, well, what's our taxable implications? What's our, uh, you know, day to day like paying servers, stuff like that. And we are operating a very bullish market. Um, you know, and so I'm trying to be very mindful of what the worst of a bearish market, and learning what we have bandwidth to unlock with when it comes to compensation for other folks. Um, but yeah, I mean, we have worked with others, um, and you know, if you want to work with us, it's always I'm a DM away. You can chat with me and see what kind of skills you want to offer, on the table, and see how we can work together on a contractual level or whatever, and see if that can grow into something more. Um, yeah, that's the best. Is like I just don't have a lot of time in the day to do a lot of recruiting, and I'm certain some of you guys know is recruiting in crypto is probably the hardest thing to do ever. Um, because everybody has like $1 million opportunities sitting right in front of them. Either to join a company, to start a company, to raise money, to get a grant or whatever. So, um, do we need any doctors? Sorry to say that I don't have a great answer there. I don't really see ourselves going past 2 digits right now. Or not 2 digits, going past like single digits. Um, we're asynchronous of a team, and we'll like to keep it that way. Um, I mean, you know, you know, like folks that help with the DAO and the community building. That's somebody that that you know, kind of coffee is kind of taking into form. Uh, we're not opposed to having artists in residence, like folks like myself who wants to build art. Um, we can kind of say, hey, you know, build it under our brand and umbrella, and we'll cover all expenses, and kind of keep a roof above your head, train you up and teach you. We can do that. We're also just generally looking for, you know, good engineer folks that are committed to the craft, and want to join us, and build what we build. Um, yeah, but we're really looking for unicorns when it comes to like folks that have a very multi-edged experience, um, and can put on a lot of hats, just simply because we're just, you know, we're very small, and you know, 1 month we make 2 ETH, the next month we make 30 ETH, you know, so like who's to say what kind of our capacity to support folks are. Um, we don't, you know, like if we hit like one blue chip status project in the future, I think the world's a lot more different. but we're not there yet. I think. I think it is a goal of mine to get a blue chip project from Proof of Beauty Studios. Um, but you know, we're not doing PFP projects at least anytime soon. We have no plans to do a PFP project. So kind of hard to break in. And then we're not art blocks. Um, and yeah, so some work, but like we'll keep on giving it a shot. We're getting closer and closer every single time. I don't know, blue chip just mimetically people. I want a project that like when people talk about art blocks, you have to talk about Proof of Beauty. Like we need a project that like puts us in the same sentence as art blocks when it comes to talking about general art. But we're not there yet when it comes to NFT influencers. Like, all right, buy an art blocks or buy a Proof of Beauty, right? Like a Proof of Beauty project NFT, whichever one they want. Um, that's really what I want is just the brand. I don't really care about the metrics, to be honest. Um, the metrics are good and good, registers of how of where your brand is, right? But yeah, like I like to think that the quality of work that we're producing is of the par or sometimes higher than what we see on Proof of Beauty. Not on Proof on art blocks, and we believe that our generative artworks has a lot of interesting story, has a lot of interesting um just things in general, and so we believe we have all the ammunition to become the blue chip status. We have the spirit. It just now we kind of need a little bit of luck and kind of putting our heads down and learning how to build a brand, how to communicate complex projects, stuff like that. Right, like that's a lot of work and a lot of learning. So that just comes with you know time, right? Patience. We're growing, right? We're growing slowly. We're hitting what, like 5, 7 followers. I'm the day we hit 10K would be pretty nice. Um, yeah, it's just gonna be slow, but hard to beat against PFP projects, when you're not fighting with the same parity tools. So, uh, yeah, so we're not like trying to force it. More so um we're waiting. But we believe that we have the day will come for us. um, the day will come. That's where we're at. um, but yeah. Do you guys have any final questions before I'm gonna log off and call the stream good today, and hopefully you'll find some time next week and hop on with more things to show. Um, but hoping Publico comes out next week. Piano comes out next week. Hopefully I could find a time to do that. But do you have any other last thoughts you want to hear from me? Because this is your moment. Main London liquidity is on SushiSwap. There's about 3 million London on Sushi. I do notice quite a bit of London on Uniswap V3, but it's not in like the trading range that would activate it. Um, so unless the price pumps a lot higher, you're probably not going to see good prices on Uniswap V3. I mean, thank you guys for stopping by. Yeah, it's really relaxing just to kind of take some time, unwind from a long day's worth of work, and just chit chat. Thank you all for your words. I'm gonna now mute myself, put it on the ending thing, and then we're gonna call it a day. And hopefully, we'll let the music kind of give us a nice end. All right, I'm gonna see you guys.